The reason why I make some of my videos in English is because the video that I make in English precisely are the ones that I consider to be complex enough to be understood by only those who at least understand the fact that English is important and they are supposed to know English, and those are the people who are at this high level of self-development and who are my audience when I'm speaking in English. In this video, I'm going to be talking to you how to deal with your appearance as a person who is on this level of self-improvement at a particularly high level of self-improvement, how I dealt with them, and I consider it to be, and I'm pretty successful, I would say. I'm doing everything I want to, and I've dealt with my parents. My parents are typical Asian brown parents, and I'll tell you what they are like as well, what their concerns are, and how I dealt with them. Before I move on, I would like you to know one thing. If you consider it to be a video in which I'm just going to be talking about the fact that your parents are bad, they are living prehistoric times, they have these old ideas, then I would like to say, quite honestly to you, get out of here. You're not at that level of self-improvement, you're not at that level of consciousness, you're not at that level of intelligence, and you're not worthy enough to listen to this video and get out of here. If you just think that your parents are bad and parents in general are bad, if you're a person who has those kind of ideas, get out of here. Now, moving on. If you blame your parents and you just have it irrationally, if you blame now let me tell you one thing, parents have done bad things to their children, and it is the general thing. And if you just consider them to be bad in a general manner because of something trivial they did, but you perceive it to be something big, then you're still stupid as well, and you don't have enough knowledge and intelligence and consciousness, and you're still not worthy of this video. And so one thing that I would really like to highlight is that I'm not going to be just telling you that your parents are good and that you're supposed to do as they tell you to do. No, they have their faults, they believe in those old ideas. Most of us know that our parents are not at that level of success at which we want to be, and so we cannot keep on acting on their advice, and we cannot keep on doing what they tell us to do. But what I want to let you know is that there are these problems exist, and there are some problems that we have to handle them, and that is what I'm going to be telling you how you're supposed to do. And it is quite complex, and I think that I've nailed it absolutely. My parents are typical Asian parents who don't think that anything is important other than getting grades, doing anything other than that is a waste of time. But despite all of that, despite their mindset, despite of their narrow-mindedness, I would say to some extent, I have done each and everything that I've wanted to do. There are things that I still want to do. There are a hindrance to me doing all that stuff I want to do. But the majority of stuff, I would say that I've done it. Now, the first thing that I would like to highlight is what my parents are like, since I'm going to be exemplifying myself. My parents, firstly, I would like to mention that the thing that they have done for me, they have ensured comfort, the best food, the best accessories, and the best education for me. But I would like to also highlight what they did wrong to me. They did some things in my childhood that absolutely messed up my mental health. So I've highlighted the good thing they did for me and the bad thing they did for me as well. And they were narrow-minded, I would say. They want me to do things that they consider secure. They want me to live in the house, and they want me to be satisfied with what I've got, and they want me to settle for all what I've got. This is a brief outline of what my parents are like, and how I've dealt with them, and how I'm progressing in my life, and how I'm gonna be doing all what I'm doing, and that is what I'm gonna be talking about to you in this video, and how you are supposed to deal with them. Firstly, you have to know that even if you are at a pretty high level of self-improvement, and firstly, I would like you to know that what is the problem. The problem is basically with education. What I consider, if you're a typical Asian brown kid, your parents are not wanting anything from you other than education. Now that is a problem. And if you consider education to be bad, and because education statistically and rationally, we all know that it has absolutely no benefit. But one thing that I would really like to highlight, and I'm going to be quite aggressive about, is that if you don't have a vision, if you don't know what you're going to do other than not going to school, if you don't have a precise and articulate plan on what you're going to do with your life, then still get out of here. You're not worthy of this video. You're not educated enough to know what you're doing with your life. And so in that case, you're just supposed to do what they are telling you, because as long as you're not able to think on your own, as long as you're not able to determine and judge things better than some things better than others, you're not worthy of doing anything your own. You're on your own. You're supposed to act on what your parents are telling you. And so now let's come on to the fact that what if you have a precise vision, which is something that I possess as well, and I have a vision, and I'm going to pursue that vision, and I'm going to be ruthless about it. And so let's talk about how to handle your appearance if you have a vision and you're supposed to, and you don't want to do some things, and you don't want to live life like them, and you don't want to be at their level of success. You have a precise version of what success is going to be, what success means to you, and that's what you're going to live life and what you want your life to be like. Now let's talk about it. At this point, you have to understand that none of our parents are not our enemies. They can be, but in general, they are not. What their main concerns are their security. Perhaps there can be a bit of envy. There can be a bit of envy because of the opportunities that we have and they did not. And so you have to keep that in mind as well. But most probably they're not envious about it. They're just talking out of security. They don't want you to do things which you want to do just because they think that you're not worthy enough to do them, that you're not confident, and that you're not skilled enough to do them on your own in the world, and that the world is a dangerous place, and that you won't be able to survive on your own. And the best possible way to ensure your survival is to just go through the education system and to settle for less the same way they did. Now, the precise reason why they're concerned about your security is because you have to understand that the time and you're not improving yourself and you're not developing yourself, you're an absolute idiot. You're an absolute stupid person. You had these bad habits. You stayed up late. You ate junk food. You watched horrible content, and you had horrible habits. And most probably they still consider you that old person, and as a result they are not addressing your new identity which you have formed, but they are thinking to you to be that same old identity which you were when you did not hope into self-improvement. And so they are talking out of those in their minds, they are addressing that old version of you. And so at this point, what you're supposed to do is that you have to have some sort of humility, because you know that you're not at that level of intelligence and consciousness that you can surpass your parents and you can tell them this is wrong and this is right, although you are supposed to, but you cannot do this way. Now, here is something that I would like to talk about myself, which I did and which I think that I absolutely nailed. I started educating myself and improving myself when I was in my 9th grade, when I was about 15 or 14. I started watching this content on YouTube, and I realized that the education system is an absolute scam. So I started talking to my parents naturally about the education system, and that's something that I've been doing for the last 2 years. And what I realized is that you have to know that your appearance, if they are 50 or 60, the way and the ideas and the way of their life, they are not gonna leave that. They are not gonna change. If you're trying to convince them or you're trying to change them, it is equal to you killing their identity. You cannot do that. The idea that they're living with, the idea that they hold so dear to themselves, they are not going to get rid of these ideas, and you cannot do that as well. So convincing them is not an option, which is something that I've tried for the last 2 years. I've been talking to them almost daily about the education system. And I'm providing them statistics. I've talked to them rationally. They have no rational explanation, but still they hold those ideas and they think that they're right and that I'm wrong. And so now talk about this. Let's come on to the solution. What is the solution? You have to understand, and I'm gonna be quite aggressive to you at this point. You have to know that what they're demanding from you is quite low to what you can do. For example, I know that the only thing that they are demanding out of me was to get good grades, which is something that I did, but at the very same time, I did think that they quite honestly discouraged me from doing. They did not want me to become a reciter, but I became one. I got very good at it. They did not want me to read books other than my syllabus. I did, and I gained a lot of knowledge. And you know what is the good part about it? And that is what makes me not trust my parents in the fact that they become quite happy about it, and they are quite proud about the fact that I'm this at this level of intelligence, and that I have very good voice, and that I can speak multiple languages, something that they did not even encourage me for, something that I did on my own. But they're whenever they go in a meetup, and whenever they meet new people, and whenever they're sitting in their relatives, they tell them how talented my kid is. And so that is what made me to not trust their ideas, because paradoxically, and that is something that I want to talk to you about, is show them the results. As long as you don't show them the results, and you're just trying to argue with them rationally or statistically, or you're telling them about some kid in America that left and that quit high school and he became a billionaire, you're not that kid. As long as you don't show them the results, as long as you don't have any proof, any material proof to convince them, you cannot you cannot do them, you cannot deal with them, in a perfect manner, you cannot deal with them, and they are not going to believe you, because people are to be judged by their actions, not by their words. And as long as you just keep on talking to them about what Elon Musk and what Andrew Tate or what Hamza has to say about the education system, they are not going to get convinced, because they are not the parents of Elon Musk or Andrew Tate or Hamza. They are your parents, and you are supposed to provide them with something material, some sort of result, which is something that I did. One thing, now moving on to the summary of what I'm talking to you about, is what they are demanding out of you is very little. You have to do it, and you have to. Now let me tell you one thing. In my example, I absolutely hated the idea of the education system. I absolutely hated sitting in a class, sitting with the teacher, sitting with those dumb kids, listening to stuff that I absolutely hate. And so that was something that I'm not telling you that it was quite easy for me to go through the education system. It was apart from its difficulty, it was something that I absolutely and utterly hated, so that multiplied the difficulty. But I got through it anyway. I did that anyway. I got quite decent grades. I got 85% in my matriculation, and that was a proof for me to present to my parents, and I did that. And so if I can do it, why can't you? And so that is the reason, that is the way you are supposed to deal with your parents. Go to the education system, go do stuff, go do what they are telling you to do, and the rest of the 20 hours that you have, do that in productive things. And one of the mistake that I made, that you could be making as well, is to consider that you cannot do anything without the encouragement, or without the validation, or without the approval of other people, which is something that, quite honestly, the education system programs you for. You're not supposed to do this. If there is something that you consider to be good, and you are supposed to do it in order to get successful, you don't have to convince people to acquire their approval, and to get their approval and their validation. If you have that space to do something, and there are people, and there are the people who are not, there are in your appearance, quite honestly, they are not giving you their approval, they are not giving you their validation, you have to do it anyway. That's what I did. When I started reading books about 3 to 4 years ago, they did not, I would say, they kind of discouraged me. They told me, what are you doing? You're wasting time when you read books. But they were not that restrictive. They did not literally tell me that you cannot get out of your house and you cannot go to the library. But it was something that I had been programmed to because of the education system, but I got over it anyway, and I did stuff that I wanted to do on my own. I learned how to recite the Quran, I learned Arabic, I improved my English, and I can speak like native. And so I did all the stuff that I did on my own, without the validation, without the approval. And so one thing that I would let you know is that if you're trying to convince them for approval or validation, don't do it. You're wasting your time. That is something you're absolutely not supposed to do it. And if you keep on doing it, even after listening to the fact that you're not supposed to do it, then you realize that you are stupid, and that you're actually supposed to do all whatever your parents are telling you to do. Now moving on toward the last thing. If you have got your parents now who are agreeable, who are quite educated, then you are supposed to let them know about your ideas. You are supposed to let them know about your unique thinking, and that you have your unique passions, and that you have got your interests, so that they might change, so that they might adapt to what your inclinations are, and so that they might allow you, or perhaps better than that, encourage you to do what you want to do. And on the other hand, let's say if you're a parent who have these typical Asian brand parents who are aggressive, who are narrow-minded, I would say, who don't allow you to do anything, do as they say. Tell them that you have got your interest. Tell them that you have your independent way of thinking. Don't confront them if you fear them just beating you up, even if you're 17 or 18, or them telling you get out of the house. Don't confront them. Let them know that you have your ideas. Let them know that you have got your interests. But keep yourself distance from them. Do what they want from you. Do what they want you to do. Get them the results. Get them the grades. And the time that you have, the rest of the time you can do whatever you want. So that is to summarize my video, I would say, don't be a stupid, don't be an idiot, and do what you want to. Do what makes them satisfied of you as well. Do what you want to do as well. And don't seek validation or approval in the thing, and don't try to convince your parents. And to keep on doing what you want to, and to keep on doing things that they want, because all of that can be done at the same time.